there's been chaos erupting in the United Kingdom with riots over immigration, far-right and immigrant protesters clashing in the streets, quite literally. Let's go ahead and put some of the video our team assembled here. This is just some examples of what's been happening.
It's hard not to think the UK is on fire. There's anger everywhere. Is it?
People are extremely angry.
A dangerous level of anger, in your view?
Yeah, seething with anger.
None of the conditions of what happened last summer have gone away. Violence might not happen, but the absence of riots shouldn't be anybody's.
Breaking 82,000 people in 11 minutes. 312 fires across Westminster. 68 police units overwhelmed. 9 major roads gridlocked beyond recovery. 1 level black security alert. The highest security classification in United Kingdom history. Triggered for the first time in modern history. That's how tonight began. No speeches, no gradual build-up, no warning, just raw chaos. Just a system that thought it was malfunctioning. But it wasn't malfunctioning. It was collapsing. In real time. On live feed. By 6:31 p.m, London's surveillance counters hit an impossible reading. 82,000 bodies moving toward Parliament Square, faster than any protest, any riot, any public gathering ever recorded in modern Britain. By 6:35 p.m, the Emergency Command Centre dashboard lit up with the one alert the Metropolitan Police hoped they would never see. Priority Black system overrun. All units, all codes, all protocols active simultaneously. By 6:39 p.m, a command leaked from Scotland Yard, a phrase never before heard, even during Britain's worst crises. Westminster is no longer under operational control. We have entered blackout condition. This wasn't panic. This wasn't exaggeration. This wasn't media hype. This was the official acknowledgement that the government had lost control of the nation's political heart in under 8 minutes. But here's what you absolutely need to know. This didn't happen overnight, and it's coming to your country next. If you're watching from Britain, the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, or anywhere else that's felt the system crack beneath your feet, hit subscribe right now, because what triggered tonight will reshape your nation too. This is the story governments are trying to contain. This is what happens when a population finally runs out of patience. Before we explain how London collapsed in under 15 minutes, you need to understand the quiet struggle happening inside hundreds of thousands of British households. This didn't start today. This started years ago. For 10 years, Britain has watched its foundations disappear. Not overnight, slowly, deliberately, quietly. GP surgeries turning patients away by midday because there aren't enough doctors. Children waiting months, 6 months, 9 months, a year for basic dental appointments. Cancer diagnoses delayed beyond safe medical limits. Ambulances arriving hours late, sometimes never arriving at all. Mental health services closing their waiting lists entirely. Hospital beds full. A and E corridors filled with people sitting on floors. These aren't abstract policy failures you read about in newspaper headlines. These are intimate disruptions happening inside real lives, real consequences, real suffering. A mother in Birmingham stands in her kitchen choosing which bill to pay first. Food for her children, heating for her home, or rent so she doesn't get evicted. An elderly couple wraps themselves in blankets because heating costs more than they can afford on their pension. A teenager applies to university, but realises she can't afford to move away from home. A young worker shares a cramped studio flat with 2 other people, as rent climbs faster than wages ever could keep pace with. And the absolute worst part? No one in power acknowledges this. No one in government admits the system is failing ordinary people. Politicians speak in numbers and statistics. Families live in real consequences and daily collapse. Teachers spend their own money on classroom supplies. Nurses work double shifts without proper breaks. Social workers carry caseloads that are impossible to manage. The entire infrastructure of British society is stretched so thin that it's starting to tear. Then came one number, one statistic, one figure that crystallised public anger into something explosive, something unstoppable. £8 million every single day, every 24 hours, taken directly from British taxpayers. Where does this money go? Where is it spent? 3-star hotel rooms fully booked. Entire floors reserved for asylum seekers. Private security on standby around the clock. 24-hour meal service included. Taxi vouchers provided. Everything paid for. Everything covered. Now, pause here. Understand something crucial. This isn't actually about immigration. This is about fairness. This is about a broken social contract. Because when British residents see those fully booked hotels, those 3-star accommodations with restaurants and services, while their own children study in overcrowded classrooms with 35 kids per teacher, sitting 3 to a desk because there's nowhere else to put them. That doesn't feel like compassion. That feels like a moral wound. When they see their parents waiting 6, 7, 8 hours in A&E corridors with broken bones and chest pain, while migrants receive hot meals and private rooms, something breaks inside them. Not rage, not hatred. Something deeper, something fundamental. It's betrayal. It's the feeling that the government has chosen others over them, over their own people. Here's what government officials still completely fail to understand about what's actually happening beneath the surface. A nation can endure hardship. A nation can survive pressure. A nation can carry burden, but only if people believe everyone is carrying it together. Only if there's shared sacrifice. Only if the pain is distributed fairly. But when you see billions flowing into hotel contracts for one group while local councils collapse financially, while parks close permanently, while libraries shut down their doors, while youth centres disappear, while potholes go unrepaired for years, while veterans wait months, sometimes years, for basic support, it creates a fracture, a breaking point. It's not that people reject helping others in genuine need. It's that they no longer see help coming for themselves. They no longer feel like the government prioritises their own citizens. Add another layer, something deeper that few politicians dare address openly: the psychological weight of rapid cultural change. Residents describe their neighbourhoods as unrecognisable. The places they grew up in don't feel like home anymore, not because they're prejudiced against newcomers, but because the rhythm of their communities shifted without their input, without their voice, without consultation. Shops have changed, languages have changed, neighbourhood rhythms have changed. The pace of life accelerated beyond what they could process or adapt to. This isn't xenophobia. This is disorientation. This is cultural vertigo. This is the human need for continuity suddenly vanishing. Social cohesion depends on continuity. When continuity breaks, identity becomes uncertain. When identity becomes uncertain, when people no longer recognise their own communities, when they feel like strangers in their own towns, political stability becomes fragile. It becomes dangerous. And when surveys show 67% of an entire nation feels betrayed, that's not a political disagreement. That's collective trauma. That's a population holding its breath before exhaling in fury. At 7:14 p.m, 15,000 people split from Parliament Square. They didn't gather randomly. They didn't riot aimlessly. They marched with purpose. Targeted purpose. They moved straight toward the migrant hotels across Paddington, Kensington, and surrounding areas. The government deployed 8,000 police officers, the largest mobilisation since the 2011 riots. The most significant police response in years. It was nowhere near enough. Police formations didn't just break, they vanished in minutes. Officers reported being physically lifted off their feet by the crowd's momentum, not from organised violence, from density pressure so intense, so overwhelming that multiple units reported they couldn't breathe, couldn't stand, couldn't maintain position. 302 police officers injured in under an hour. Dozens hospitalised. Shields became makeshift barricades. Barricades became collapse points. The system wasn't breached through violence. It was drowned in sheer numbers, in human presence, in the weight of a population that had finally reached its limit. And then, at 7:22 p.m, something far more serious, something far more dangerous happened. London's level black alert automatically cascaded into a national red alert. A government protocol activated only when civilian authority is judged to be failing. This wasn't a second warning. This wasn't a lateral response. This was an escalation. An automatic trigger that signals the crisis has crossed into territory even crisis planners weren't prepared for. This meant one thing and one thing only. The government was no longer responding to a protest. It was responding to systemic breakdown. Here's the impossible situation the Prime Minister now faces. If he cracks down hard with emergency measures, he's accused of suppressing legitimate concerns from his own population. If he pulls back, he's accused of losing control. If he hesitates, he loses public trust. Every single option leads to political damage. Every path leads to collapse. The Home Office wants immediate emergency border measures. The Treasury fears economic devastation. Humanitarian groups demand restraint and compassion. His own MPs are panicking. The media is fracturing. The public is watching. Result: policy paralysis at the exact moment when clarity is required, when leadership is needed most. A leaked government note predicted this exact scenario weeks ago. If border stabilisation is not implemented within weeks, prolonged civil disruption is likely. Tonight proved that warning wasn't just accurate. tonight proved it was conservative. This isn't about left or right. This isn't about one political party or another. This is about capacity. The capacity of hospitals to serve patients. The capacity of housing to shelter people. The capacity of schools to educate children. The capacity of councils to function. The capacity of police to maintain order. And most critically, the capacity of trust between government and population. For millions tonight, that capacity exceeded its breaking point. A country can survive pressure. A country can endure hardship. But a country cannot, will not, continue functioning when its people feel completely unseen, utterly unheard, and utterly unsupported. When they're told to be patient while the system visibly collapses around them. When they see resources flowing elsewhere, while their own children wait months for healthcare. When they realise the government chose other priorities over them. That's not anger, that's saturation. That's the psychological moment when patience becomes irrelevant because patience requires hope. And tonight, millions lost it completely. Nations don't fall in a single night, but they change in a single night. And tonight, something fundamental shifted in Britain. Not because of violence, because of presence. 50,000 bodies in the streets saying, "We are not invisible. We will not carry this burden alone anymore. Hear us or lose us." The government cannot ignore that message anymore. Not after this scale. Not after police admitted they cannot hold the line. Not after the system itself issued its highest alert level. But here's what matters most. This isn't just a British moment. This is a warning. Every developed nation is at this same crossroads right now. The United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, France, Germany. Every country has felt this pressure building. Healthcare failing, housing unaffordable, services collapsing, governments disconnected from reality. Britain just showed you what happens when that pressure finally breaks. Subscribe right now, not in a few minutes, now. Because as this unfolds, and it will unfold, I'm tracking every moment. When governments lose control, when police lines collapse, when trust reaches breaking point, when populations finally move. You need to see this unfiltered before narratives get sanitized. This is history accelerating, and you shouldn't watch it alone. In the comments below, tell me your story. If you're in Britain, what broke for you? What was your breaking point? If you're watching elsewhere, do you feel this same pressure building? What's your nation's limit? Your comment is documentation of this moment. Tell us where you stand.